thank you very much. I am very grateful to be standing in the Seanad and able to debate this legislation, this amendment to our Constitution. It's an extraordinary privilege to be here and to be able to speak to it. I don't believe that this article has inhibited me at any point in my life. I need to say that. I don't believe that it needs to be personally removed because it has put a blockage to me. But I think in the past it has led to assumptions or described particularly traditional positions in Ireland that are no more, and thankfully we legislated for. We removed the marriage ban. It took us until 1991 before we removed the concept that rape couldn't happen within marriage. There are senators in this House that are younger than that. So I think that there have been traditional attitudes that ascribed people to particular roles, and I think that we've long since moved on from that. If a woman chooses to stay at home and that family makes those decisions together and that's in their best interest, then they're quite entitled to do that. Equally, if the man chooses to, I'm here tonight because my husband is at home sending me snapshots of the Irish homework for help. So the roles are interchangeable. We've long since moved on. And that to me would be a motivation, that we need to change and make sure that the language of our Constitution reflects the lived reality of our people. That first piece of the women, by her, that without which the common good cannot be achieved, I believe that there was actually a positive motivation to that when it was put into the Constitution in the beginning. I think it was to safeguard women, to uphold women, actually to put a red circle around them. So I believe its motivation was well-intentioned, albeit that I wouldn't necessarily have an awful lot in agreement with the writer of the Constitution. But the piece where it goes to necessity to engage in labour, to the neglect of their duties, their meaning mothers in the home, I do have a bit of a problem with that. I don't like that. I think that's sexist language, and it's unbecoming to the constitution of a progressive country, and a country that should embrace all sorts of care and reflect those different caring relationships and that equality. And our legislation has time and again reflected those, and I take point that women receive maternity because they're the ones principally who are carrying children, and those of us who didn't get it. So yeah, I think from that point of view, it's just outdated. It just needs to be deleted. It needs to, and the replacement with care. Yeah, I'm very content with that. I do have a huge empathy, though, with disability groups, and I thank you. I know that you are engaging, and you have engaged with all of the groups, and I know that you've set up another meeting with the Independent Living Movement of Ireland. But I think we need to articulate very clearly that disability groups and representatives are very unhappy with the debate in the Dáil that left them voiceless, that left them with this kind of residual feeling that care is something that is given to people with disabilities or disabled people, and that they are passive recipients of care as opposed to people with agency and human rights in and of themselves. And I think that it is very important that we honour that in this House, that it doesn't go without unsaid in this House. I wouldn't go as far as Senator Clonan, but I do understand why there would be a concern that we don't, on one hand, that we signed up to the UNCRPD. I still believe that we need to absolutely move on the optional protocol as quickly as possible, and that would be an important part and assurance in the context of this debate. But that we really make sure that the right of a person with disability to live independently, the right of that agency to be exercised, is absolutely supported. And I think the assisted decision-making thing, a lot of things we're very much moving in that direction, but we cannot leave a change to the Constitution without clarification from government, clarification from all of us, that under no circumstances, because we are recognising the role of carers, are we saying that people with disabilities or disabled persons are the responsibility of their family. They are holders of human rights in and of themselves, and rights to all of the service, to universal design, to everything that goes with our country and as citizens and residents in our country. So I think that it is really important that we do that. And I note, that though advocating for an absolute yes vote in this, that there are concerns in that regard, and what I'm just going to read out a paragraph here. Could you reflect that many disabled activists and disabled persons organisations were concerned that much of the debate in relation to the proposed 40th Amendment has almost ignored disabled people, or as an afterthought as recipients of care? We would like to hear our government proposes to use the debate in the lead up to the referendum to reaffirm the state's commitments to disabled people under the UN CRPD, and how a yes will make commitments to the lives of disabled people. So I think that's very important. I don't think in any way we're seeking to undermine, but it is really important that we set that out very, very clearly and very confidently that we're doing that and being sure. This article, I suppose the support or that the enshrining of women, over the years there's been many debates of women being financed or getting a payment from the state for being at home. None of that. It never gave those rights. We have moved in a place where carers are getting pension rights, where there's Minister Humphreys has announced a whole raft of things, and there has been a growth in carers' rights over the last number of years, and I think that that's really important, and it's important that we reflect the carer as a person, because much in many of the other debates in this House, we have seen that the voice of the carer can at times not be heard strongly enough and not appreciated strongly enough. And that we enshrine a family carer in the Constitution is important. That there are, when we see activists at the gates and we meet with them and we talk to parents of children, with disabilities who aren't getting services, we need to know that they're while they're caring, they're also activists, they're also all of these other things, and the best way to really honour them in the Constitution is actually to make sure that their children have the services. So I think that we need to drive that on in a very definite way. So I look forward to tomorrow's debate. I think it is interesting, if not it is slightly ill-tempered today. But it is an extraordinary privilege. I have long studied Constitution. Here I am speaking to an amendment to it. So that is really quite a privilege, and that we should never lose sight of. It is our honour to try to attempt to shape, and in time to come, when there are cases, and no doubt there will be, when there are cases that the debate in the House, the intentions of the legislators will all be part of that. So it is important that it is mature and considered. So thank you.